They say that Salt Lake City is full of history, but some of that history refuses to stay buried. From flickering lights in forgotten buildings to ghostly whispers in pioneer graveyards, the city holds secrets that chill the spine and stir the imagination. If you think you know Salt Lake, think again, because once the sun goes down, the spirits come out to play. Today, we talk to Grim Ghost Tours, where you can go and learn and tour the little-known corners of the city. Stay with us.
Welcome to High Strangeness, where we ask questions and explore all that is strange and unexpected in our reality.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to High Strangeness. I'm Tony, and we are getting ready to enter into All Hallows Eve. We are right here in Utah, and my question to all of you is, what if the streets of Salt Lake City aren't so quiet after all? Are there restless spirits that want to come out after the dark? Well, my guest today comes from an organization where this is their job to show and tell where the spooky places are right here in Salt Lake City, Utah. The organization is called Grim Ghost Tours, and my guest today is Fiona. Fiona, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Not bad at all. I'm excited to have you on to find out more about this cool thing that's happening right here in Salt Lake City, and people can be aware of it as we get through the month of October. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, just a few questions about you. Like, are you a native Utah person? Have you always lived here?
I am native Utahn, born and raised downtown Salt Lake City, but
Nice.
I've traveled all over. I love to travel, but then come back home to my beautiful mountains.
I know, it's so beautiful out here. I'm not from here, and when I came out for college, I was like, oh, I'm staying here. It was beautiful. So
Yeah.
I loved it. So let's see. You have been here for all your life, and what got you interested in this sort of thing? Like, have you always been into the spooky and eerie, or what got you here?
That's a deep question for someone in the paranormal field. How did you get started? And usually, like when I ask that question, it comes back, well, I grew up in a haunted house.
Mm,
And so I guess you would put me in that same category where you grow up in these places, these houses, apartments, or whatever, and strange things happen. And it makes you think you're maybe going a little bit crazy, but then you start to understand this paranormal realm a little bit more. And it's like, no, I'm not crazy. There's just a little ghosty friend here with me.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, that's what I've found as I talk to people, because I'm into this, but never had any experiences really.
Oh,
And I didn't know UFOs, nothing, but I'm into it because I believe in all these things.
right.
But as I talk to people, yeah, they're like, at first, am I going crazy? What's going on? They're not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You put your keys down someplace, the next morning they're completely different. Things go missing. They show up in random places. You hear things, you see things, you're like, okay, what carbon monoxide, like what is going on? But no, it just comes down to that simple answer is that you're having to share a space with someone you can't always see or hear. You have to get used to that.
Do you have a level of comfort around that now, or is it still a little weird?
There is a level of comfort, but I definitely set up my boundaries. Just like you would do with living people or people you meet any place, I definitely have my boundaries over. I'm like, okay, you cross this line and that makes me uncomfortable. So let's not do that.
Really? This has nothing to do with our podcast here, but that's an interesting statement that I'm interested in just knowing more about. So are you saying that there are times where you're able to say, hey, too much, back up, really, and they
Yes.
respond to that positively? That's good to know.
Yes. Sometimes it takes a little bit, you have to get a little bit forceful and really lay down the law. But once you set that intention and that line, then it's like a law. I don't know this how it happens or why it happens, but they have to follow that.
Interesting. And maybe they're just happy enough to be in your presence, or interact that they don't want to be pushed away completely, so they comply, maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's a possibility.
That's really interesting. Well, Fiona, you work at Ghost Grim Tours. What is it you do there for them?
Working at Grimm is fun and exciting because I am a jack of all trades. I am the historian. I do tours. I do investigations. I do public outreach like this, and so I kind of do it all.
Nice. Keeps it very interesting and varied for you. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Pretty
always
cool.
something to do.
Yeah, and I hope we get into a little bit of the investigation. I'm curious as we get further along here, everything that Grim Ghost Tours touches upon. Not just, I feel like there's a lot of things you guys do. So we'll get into it. Pretty cool.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. Well, before I get there, how long have you been with Ghost Grim?
I've been with Grim Ghost Tours. I just had my ninth anniversary.
Nice.
Yeah, so 9 years since summer 2016.
Excellent. So, okay, let me ask you this, Fiona. Is Salt Lake City a spooky city?
It is. When you start to learn about the history that you're not taught in schools or that's not on brochures, it can it can be we go from like Wild West to strange and peculiar to, you know, murder, deaths, stories all downtown, and then just like weird stuff that is not necessarily ghost related, but these interesting stories between conflicts, and it's fascinating history, and it can get quite creepy.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to me as I've gone around the city, and I've been here for a bunch of years now as well, probably 26 or so. But it's been really interesting. When I go to certain places, like I think of like the big cemetery downtown. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's got this feeling about it. Like historically, you just feel like there's different energies in there. It's really interesting.
Yeah, so the Salt Lake City Cemetery is the largest city operated cemetery in the United States.
Mm,
And it they have the rules of, from dawn till dusk, but you wouldn't want to go in there after dark anyways, because you can get lost in there and turned around. And if you don't have your mountain landmarks that you can see, it's very easy to just end up somewhere you didn't expect to be. But then
yeah.
you do have all sorts of different, because it's the city cemetery. It's full now, but it's the city cemetery. So you get everyone from Salt Lake City being buried there. So no matter what political side, no matter what religious side, or even people just passing through are buried there.
Crazy. Yeah. It's an interesting place for sure.
Yeah.
Anybody who has not been there should check it out. It's really pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Grim has like a walking tour that we do when it's warmer, but they also have like different, if you go onto the website the city has for it, they have different maps that you can look up and follow to find some of the interesting people buried there as well.
Mm, interesting. Yeah. As we were talking about Utah, I thought for a minute, a bunch of years back, I found out some things about Ogden that was really interesting. Like a whole different thing up there. Like, yeah, gangstery almost, some things. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, Ogden
Utah's
must.
got everything, doesn't it?
It does. That's why it's so fascinating. And I tell people on my tours that we're not this religious utopia that marketing tries to make us out to be. We've never been that. We've had gunslingers, outlaws, cowboys, all the way up to world known, renowned criminals in Salt Lake City. And it's just kind of covered up. And that's what Grim does is
Yeah.
we don't cover it up. We're going to tell you the true stories of this fascinating history and those who
So
linger.
cool. That's so cool. Love that. Okay, let's jump into some things here. Grim Ghost Tours. How did the Ghost Tours organization business start here in Salt Lake City? How long ago, and what was the original objective?
So it was started by someone who was just super interested in the paranormal and wanting to share those stories too. And it was about 14 years ago. And the business has new owners now who are carrying on that legacy of sharing the stories and making sure we build a community of people so that when you get the people who come in and they're like, my house may be haunted or I may be crazy, we can kind of give them that sense of comfort and be like, you're not going crazy. It's happened more than once. Why don't you come and join us? Like people who want to learn more about what they're experiencing.
Nice. Love that. So let's find out what does Grim Ghost Tours do? Like, because I've seen a really cool van. I know something about Fear Factory, but you tell us I mean, I didn't know about the walking stuff. So
Okay.
what do you guys have? Yeah.
So we do investigations, but first we recommend people start on going on our tours. We have bus tours and then we have some walking tours of the city cemetery and then just a downtown walking tour. And our bus tours we run all year round and we take you around to some of these locations and we tell you the history, we tell you what happened there, and then what's still happening there that people encounter. And so that's a good introduction. Like if you're interested in doing the ghost hunts, the investigations, that kind of gives you an introduction to the investigations because we don't go inside the buildings on our tours. We just stand outside and we get pictures, like paranormal pictures, even outside. But then for our investigations, we actually go inside these buildings. So you have a
Mm.
introduction of it on the tour, and then you are more familiar with it on the investigations. And we do in the fall, we partner with Fear Factory, and we have a walking history uh, tour that we do where we talk about all this stuff about Fear Factory and what's happening there. But Fear Factory is also one of our investigation places. So we'll do the tour, we'll go there on an investigation. We go to several other places. We've done the city and county building, Asylum 49, Saltaire, Fort Douglas. We're all over the place.
Yeah. That's so cool. Well, I know when I spoke to the owner for an episode, I think it was 34 last year, of Fear Factory, he was telling me about Monday nights. It's your night, isn't it?
It
It's
is.
you guys do your thing there. So people can do that, right? So if you're going to go to Fear Factory the other nights, Monday, tell us about Grim. What are they doing on their Monday night?
So Monday night, starting in September, we do the haunted history tour of Fear Factory, where it's just about an hour long, 40 to an hour long tour, 40 minutes. And we walk you around all the places in Fear Factory, the hot spots, and it's all the power's turned off. So you only have finger lights to guide your way. And then a
Mm,
guide who's walking you around in the dark, down in the basement, up on the catwalk and through the mazes. You're there and it's just your little group inside the building, but you can still hear if you're downstairs and someone's on the catwalk walking, it's not the other group coming through. It's someone there.
yeah, that's crazy. It's a creepy place.
Yes.
It really is. So with your tours, how long are they? Are they just different lengths? Can people get a shorter one or longer one? How does it go?
So the bus tours are about 90 minutes, and then our walking tours I think we've lengthened them to for people to expect about 2 hours, just because we know people walk at different paces. And so we don't want anyone to feel rushed. We don't want anyone to feel like they're missing out on anything if they're a slower walker or anything like that. We allow picture taking time. And so we tell people to expect about 2 hours for a walking tour.
Sounds like a great date night.
Yeah, it
Personally, yeah.
is. I've had
That's
lots of
pretty cool.
people who have gone on, it is date night, and they'll tell me I'm only here because of the other person, but then they leave at the end and they're like, that was some crazy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, because people don't, we drive past things all the time and we don't know really what's gone on there. That's the
Yeah.
cool thing about it. So, how do you pick locations? Do you pick different ones at different times? Are you always looking to see what's out there, or do you guys have a pretty good feel? You're the historian, I guess. The good feel of the things that have happened out there, and you kind of go, okay, I've got a good layout of what we ought to do. How do you guys approach locations and stuff?
We only go to locations where we're welcomed. We're not going to go somewhere where they don't want us because we don't want to disrespect any businesses or property managers. So that's the big one is
Yeah,
we don't go anywhere that's like private property unless we have permission. And so there's all these stories about Salt Lake City and these buildings and stuff, but we are not going to go to them if we can't verify the history and if we can't verify the ghost stories and if we don't have permission. Yeah, it's a big thing because some institutions don't necessarily want that connotation associated with them, even if they do have ghost stories, but they don't want that to become a reputation for them. So we try to work with everyone.
yeah. I mean, it makes sense to me, right? I mean, some people are going to be like, no, 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 don't tell people about this place.
Yeah. And even
Yeah,
some of them might be like, I don't want to know this about the place I have to work at every day.
right. Yeah,
But
that's so true.
most people, when we approach them or we we reach out to try and verify some of the things we've heard, they're very like, oh yeah, let me tell you my story that happened here.
That's cool. Yeah. Do they allow you to share that if you go by it or anything like that? Like if
Yeah,
you, yeah,
yeah.
that's cool.
We always try to border on the being truthful but also being respectful.
Yeah.
It's always like this. There's a place that like downtown where they absolutely do not talk about any of the paranormal activity there. But we also try to let people know like it does have paranormal activity there. So it's a fine line of getting
Yeah.
the truth out there but still being respectful.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's delicate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's one of the most surprising or, I don't know, little known historical facts that you've uncovered or that the organization has found over the years that now shares with tour members?
Yeah, no, it's a good question because there's several different books about like hauntings in Salt Lake City or web pages about famous ghosts in Salt Lake or in Utah. But I think there's every place that I've looked at has some story associated with it. There's even one of the stops we will go to occasionally is Hatch Family Chocolates up by LDS Hospital.
Hmm.
And they are not shy of telling their stories, but it's the little things that happen every day there that we've heard. And it doesn't need to be like full body apparitions or anything major, but that's one of the most haunted locations in Salt Lake City because you do get so much paranormal activity happening there on a consistent basis.
Wow.
So that's one of my favorite things to bring up to people is it doesn't have to be a creepy story. Well, creepy, yeah, because ghosts are creepy,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have to be a scary tragedy, death, murder kind of thing. It can just be these little things that just let you know you're not alone in that
Yeah.
space.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to think like at the chocolate place, right? Like little things each day add up to big things because it's like, you can count on something happening almost every week. I think it's interesting. I just to digress for a minute. One of my daughters was working at a salon place out here in South Jordan or West Jordan, and this was right after high school for her. And she went in, and they said it was a bunch of women, girls there working. And they said, she was going to close one night. And they said, you're going to see a ghost here because there's one running around. Don't be freaked out by it. And she laughed. She's like, yeah, right. And they're like, no, there is. And she's like, okay. And then she saw it. She could see it back through the hall walking, and came home and was like, Dad, I saw something crazy. But she wasn't threatened by it. So she said it was kind of weird. So like she saw it, she was a little nervous at first, but it was like, it wasn't threatening at all to her. So it's interesting how those experiences happen, maybe regular, and you're kind of like, oh yeah, it happens. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that we try to do too is get people familiar uh, or more comfortable with being around those presences, because they're not there to threaten you or to harm you or do anything like that. They're there living in their own space in their own time. And they they just want to be treated like how living people want to be treated. We have a saying like as in life, as in death. So you would treat them as you in death as you would have in life.
Hmm.
But that also has it can also work both ways because they're going to have the same personality as they did in life. So sometimes people are grouchy and then they die and they're still grouchy. And so if you are not comfortable around that, then you're not going to understand that environment, and it's going to be harder for you as a person than trying to get more familiar with it and understanding like this person's just grouchy. I know how to set my limits with them. I know how to set my boundaries.
That makes a lot of sense. And so a sense of education to help people recognize what this is about. Because I would think, I mean, if I started having experiences, I wouldn't know what to think. I'd be like, avoid them, yell at them. I don't know what to do. So you're saying, hey, you can coexist. You just have to know how to work in that situation.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. Well, let me ask you, before I go to this next question, it just makes me think of something else. In your opinion, do you think ghosts are just in between somewhere? Or what's your opinion about that? Because there's so many different views on what they might be. Oh, they're troubled and lost. Oh, they didn't go to the light. Oh, there's it's interdimensional, and you can see into the next, it's like a shadow of something. What are your thoughts about that?
It's a deep question.
I know.
'Cause-
Sorry.
no, you're fine. I've encountered so many different types of paranormal activity that sometimes I think like it is just a different plane. Like we're living on the same plane, but there's just some sort of like you said, interdimensional thing happening where we're aware of each other, but we're not in the same space.
Yeah.
And then I've encountered stuff where what we would call like residual hauntings or paranormal activity, where they are just stuck in a continuation of that timeline. And they have no idea that they're dead. They have no idea that time has moved on. They're just that repeated motions. It kind of says it in The Shining, where it's like the smell of burnt toast, how it lingers there, even though you remove that object. There's still that lingering phenomenon that's happening.
Is it kind of like an echo almost of it?
Yeah, like that.
Yeah. Interesting.
And so I don't know how it works. And we always say, like, it's not an exact science. We don't know if there's ever going to be a time where we understand why this is happening or why we can interact with some and not with others. We don't know. But I do think that there is just, I don't know if it's a veil or some sort of little thing where at different times we cross each other's paths.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing to me. And yeah, I agree. I think it's one of those things we may never really know, and people are going to be, searching out the answer to that probably forever. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. diving back into normal questions. Thank you for helping me with that. Walk me through when somebody shows up for one of these tours. Like, where would they go? And just, just walk me through it so I can see how it would happen if I showed up to one of your tours.
Yeah, so we send out emails and reminder texts that have the address and the meeting location. So you would show up and your guide is going to be there and they will check you in, make sure your name's on the list, that you have the right amount of people you booked for. And then if it's a walking tour, you just wait for the rest of your group and then you'll go. If it's a bus tour, you can wait on the bus, you can wait outside the bus. But then there's going to be a certain point where your guide says, all right, let's go. And that's when the tour starts and when they start preparing you for the adventure you're going to be going on.
So if you're on the bus, you guys have like where they talk into it, or is somebody back there with the group saying, okay, this house right here or building, here's what happens, and you guys kind of slow down so they can see it? Is that how it works?
Yeah, so on the bus tours, there's a driver who drives the bus while the guide stands in the back of just behind the driver so that everyone on the bus can see them and they can point out things. On the bus tours, we get off. So we will go to certain locations and we'll get out, we'll talk for maybe 5-7 minutes, take some pictures, and then get back on the bus, drive to the next location. But then there's stuff in between those locations that we'll talk about, we'll point out. Sometimes we can't get off at every stop, and we just have to drive by it slowly, like you said, and point it out. And that could be because of events happening there or construction. But we have about 5 stops per bus tour that we always try to get off and give people time to stretch their legs, take pictures.
Yeah.
So we always try to do that.
That's cool. Yeah. I'm just trying to think, so people can kind of get a feel, picture this in their mind so they can get excited and say, I need to do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. So what's the most common reaction you guys get from your tour guests? Like, are they just, you mentioned the couple, they'll come and one of them will be like, I'm coming because of him or her. And then they're like, all right, this is cool. Is that kind of what you see?
It is. We'll get the date night couples coming. One is super interested, one isn't. But then we also get a lot of people from out of town who are just in for a business trip or a convention, something like that. And that's how they learn about the history of the city. So they'll tell us, we always find a ghost tour in whatever city we're in, because it's a interesting way to learn the history of that location.
Yeah.
And so we get a lot of that happening. And then they'll say, we had no idea all these things about Salt Lake. And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot to uncover.
That makes a lot of sense, actually, to come to hear the stories that not everybody wants to talk about, but it's the real stuff,
Yes.
right? Like the history of it. Yeah. Pretty interesting. Has there ever been one guest who's done or experienced or seen something that's memorable to you and your team, where they go, yeah, this happened one day, blah, 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 and it was funny or just kind of weird or whatever? Anything like that you can recall?
So it's kind of fun on our bus tours. We only show pictures taken from people who have been on the tours.
Oh, nice.
And then we actually we pass around K2 EMF, so they can see if the EMF detector is spiking or if it stays normal. And then, but we also tell them, like, take your pictures. If your EMF detector is spiking, definitely take pictures, but also try to debunk it. Like, if you're holding your phone in one hand and the EMF detector in another, probably not a ghost. It's going to be your phone. But I've seen on the tours where there are certain times the EMF detector will go off just on one side of the bus. and the other side is like, we're not getting it. And then they move over, and it starts to go
Respond or
above,
something.
yeah, go above
Yeah.
that baseline. And it's like, okay, well, maybe I don't know if it's going to be the power lines, or if it continues after we cross this intersection, maybe we have a little friend on the bus.
Yeah, little passenger.
Yeah. And then we get
That's funny.
pictures all the time. People will
Isn't
send
it
us
true?
pictures.
Well, isn't it true? It seems like a lot of times people, whether they're recording something, sound, or taking a picture, they don't capture something visually at the moment or, with their ears, but later they're like, whoa, I didn't hear that at the moment or see that. That seems like that happens quite a bit, doesn't it?
It does. And that's why we say, like, you are more than welcome to take pictures on the tour. We highly encourage it. And we give them directions like take it in multiples, use your flash. It personally once took me 5 weeks to notice something phenomenal happening in a series of pictures I had taken. And I tell people that I'm like, don't delete it, go back through uh, in the next week or so. Because me as a professional, I didn't even notice it for that long.
Mm,
So you can pick up things all the time. And what's really cool is if you take like live photos, you don't always get the flash, but it also does the audio recording. So it does like little videos. So you can pick up EVPs that way with just taking live
yeah.
photos. Or you can see like the orbs moving in your live photos that maybe you wouldn't see in a still photo.
Yes, I recall seeing pictures like that out there of people and they're surprised by it. Hey, you're there, right? Take pictures and then see what you come up with. I love that. So with Grim Tours, you mentioned that you guys do these all year round. And is there a certain time of the year that you guys get busier, or is it pretty steady all around the clock?
October is a busy month for us,
Makes sense.
but we actually have like a summer rate and then like a winter rate because we are less busy in the winter, but we're still operating every weekend. With our bus tours especially because it can be snowing outside or raining outside and we can still visit these locations. And then if I'm running the tour, I'll ask them, do you want to get off the bus or do you want to stay on the bus, and I'll just tell you the
Hmm.
stories. But then people
Yeah.
can still experience the tour and the stories. They don't have to wait for peak season
Yeah.
to do this. And it's not like ghosts are more active in October than they are any other time of the year. They're still
Yeah,
there.
that makes perfect sense. Yeah. And I like the thing about wintertime in the bus because people can stay warm too. So,
Yes.
yeah. Halloween. I bet you people get pretty fired up on in October to do these. You said that the numbers are a little bit higher. Do people, you know, is it just a different energy or people dressing up and going on? I mean, what happens?
Yes. So October is so busy for us that we're open multiple days during the week, not just the weekends. And we will get like work parties that want to come on, and we'll get a friends group who I think one time I had a friends group show up and they all wore Ghostbuster costumes.
Nice.
And it was a meetup group. They would pick different locations to meet up, and they all dressed up as a different scary movie character on the bus. So
Fun.
it's very fun. It's a very good time. People want to get out there. It's a little bit different than just going to a haunted house, which is also fun, but
Yeah.
it's something new and different if people haven't done it before. And you don't have to if you're on the bus, you don't have to walk the whole time. So you could
Sure.
wear your heels. We don't recommend it, but you could. And it's just, there is kind of a higher energy during that time, but I think it's because people will hype themselves up. It's not
Hmm.
because, All Hallows Eve and All Saints Day, All Souls Day, where that veil is thinner. It's because people are expecting
Yeah.
that type of thing. So they're paying more attention and they're like, yes, it's October, I'm going to see some ghosts. But if they come for during November, December, and a little bit of January, we have a Christmas ghost tour where we focus
Oh,
on
wow.
like different Christmas spooky, creepy legends from around the world. And we only tell Christmas or holiday season associated ghost stories. So we'll go to these locations and it'll be like, there was a Christmas party here held one year and this is what happened. But you get just as much activity from our ghosty friends on those times than you do during October. It's the same amount. People just have to be paying attention, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so cool. I didn't know you guys did a Christmassy type one as well. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Why not, right? That makes perfect sense, actually.
Yeah, and it's a little bit different. Like even the music that we play on the bus is different, but it doesn't detract from a ghost tour. So
Yeah.
we make it just as creepy.
Yeah. It's funny because the few times, in the past where I might have gone with a few people to a haunted attraction or something, you really enjoy it with your friends and the people you're with in line waiting because that's when you're able to be together. The rest of the time you're walking through something. So on these ghost tours, whether it's walking or on the bus, groups, it's a great idea for groups
Yes.
to be together and, they can kind of still have that same experience together. That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we do private events as well. So you can book out the bus for your private event, for your work retreat, or whatever you're doing, birthday parties,
Mm.
bachelorette parties. We've had a whole bunch of different ones that they just want their own group, and we are happy to accommodate if we can.
Yeah, that makes sense. What advice would you give to somebody who's never been on a ghost tour so they can get the best out of it?
My advice would be is just to keep an open mind. Rarely, on just a few occasions, I'll have someone who's on there who is just a little bit combative and saying, that's not true, that's not real. And I'm like, well, let's keep an open mind, okay?
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, hey, come on, get into it a little bit, will you, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So, and the other thing I think you mentioned before is whether it's your phone or your camera, bring something to take a picture with.
yes.
Yeah.
We sometimes do have people bring like their big high quality Canons or Nikons or something like that, and that's what they'll take pictures with. But you don't have to have that. Cell phones are great for ghost tour picture taking.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's see here. What do you guys hope or enjoy most that people walk out of your tours with? Of course, other than the goosebumps. What else?
For me personally, it's getting to interact with our customers and getting to know them. I don't think there's been very few occasions where I have not had someone on my tour or my investigation come up and tell me their own personal story. And it's that connection, that human connection and interaction that we really enjoy. And that's what we're there for is, yeah, these are some creepy, spooky stories, but what's your story? Tell us about you
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, the interchange, the exchange. Yeah. You've got some cool, your shirt and your
Oh,
kind of that stuff. That's cool. Can people buy stuff like that?
yeah. So we have shirts, and then we are getting a new shipment of hoodies, and on the back it'll say, or on the front it says Grim Ghost Stories, but on the back it's our little slogan that says, "If it's not normal, it's paranormal."
Yeah.
And so we'll have that because we're getting it. We have a booth at Phenomicon this year,
Oh,
and
you do? Wow. That's
yes,
cool.
yeah, that's exciting for us. So we'll have this hoodies in time for that.
That's perfect. That's such a great event. People are going to love what you're doing there as well. Yeah. Really cool. I went there last year. Loved Phenomicon.
Oh
Really
yeah.
cool. Yeah. Well, Fiona, this has been great. Is there anything that you think we should still, you know, I don't. There may be a question I should have asked, or you're going, I can't believe this guy didn't ask me this. Is there anything that you want to share about Grim Ghost Tours that I think people should know?
Grim Ghost Tours, it is a tourist company, but it is also a community company. We do have a business license and we do operate tours and we carry insurance, but really what we're trying to do is build a community here in Salt Lake City where for so long it was a taboo subject. Like talking about ghosts was taboo. You don't do that, you don't bring it up, don't spread word about it. But now people are coming and they're like, I need to talk about it because I'm going crazy. I need to tell someone else my experience. And so that's what we really are striving for, is building a community of people who feel safe and comfortable. It's a safe place for them to be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I can imagine people are. I've got a daughter-in-law who has had some crazy experiences, and she just didn't think she could tell me. And then, she sees I do this podcast and stuff, and she's like, "Oh, I think I can tell him this." And it was pretty interesting. But she was keeping a lot of that to herself, not sharing some of the stuff that she's gone through with other people. So it reminds me of exactly that.
Yeah.
When you have people you can talk to, it's nice. It gives you the opportunity to kind of share that stuff, and they
Yeah.
can do it. Yeah, they can meet people on these tours and do that.
Yeah,
So cool.
definitely. We always encourage making new friends. So
Yeah.
if you want to go on one of our investigations, but none of your friends do, you can always come and you can hang out with myself or the owner or other people we have and make and meet new friends who have similar experiences or similar beliefs or feelings or whatever. Meet someone new, make friends, and build the community.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because I had forgotten to. I wanted to circle back around and ask you about the investigation. So, is that something people can see on your website to like, oh, we're going to be going here this week, this here next month, that they can tie into? Like, how will they know and how can they tie into that?
Yeah, so all of our events are listed on our website, or even we'll post them on our Facebook page. And there's only a certain amount listed in advance so that we make sure that event gets filled up before the next event, or
Yeah.
so people can plan kind of accordingly as well. So you can just, there's a tourist section and there's an investigations section, but we also have what we call like our VIP email list, where we will send out information to that list and they can be aware of it before it goes on social media. And we don't spam
Mm.
you. We don't have time to spam you with stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's only like, okay, here are the next investigations for the next 2 months so that people can know. And so that's always a good way. One of our most popular investigations is the overnight one at Lava Hot Springs Inn. We book out the entire inn, and so it's just Grim Ghost Tours there, and you can stay up till 2 or later just investigating the inn. But it also includes like a free breakfast in the morning and use of the hot pools. So that sells out super fast. Unless you're like on the email list, then you're one of the first ones to know about it.
Yeah. Yeah, you might miss it if you're not on the list. That's for sure. That
Yes.
sounds fun. That's like several things all wrapped in one little weekend there. That's
Yeah,
definitely, yeah,
that
for
one's a
sure.
nice little like couple getaway, a couple activity that is something fun, something different, but it's not, it won't break your bank either. Like that's what we
Yeah.
always try to consider too, is how can we best meet the needs of our customers and afford everything, and so that they can afford everything but still be able to run a business.
Yeah. Yeah. Fiona, can you tell us what the website and the Facebook, you said those two things. Could you tell us what that is so people will have that?
Yeah, so our website is www.grim with two M's, grimghosttours.com. And then our Facebook page is just Grim Ghost Tours, Grim with two M's, like the Brothers Grimm. It's just Grim Ghost Tours. And
Cool.
we try to post on there. We try to do some involvement. We're a little bit busy right now because we have investigations like every weekend and 4 different tours that we're running right now. So sometimes our like, oh, here's a fun little thing on our social media isn't as frequent as we'd like, but that's going to change in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like fun, people. I don't know. All these different things that they're doing, it doesn't even have to be in October. So this episode is going to come out in October, but if people, for some reason, overbook and can't, they've got 11 other months they can tie in or do both.
Yeah. We always tell people you never know what you're going to get on the ghost tour. You're going to get something different every single time. Sometimes it's different stories and experiences, and sometimes like it's just different guides have different ways of saying things and telling things. So come back multiple times. And that also gets you more familiar with the ghosty friends there too. And maybe the more you go back to those places, the more familiar they get with you, the more active and present they're going to be.
Yes. Good suggestions like that. Is there anything else Grim Ghost Tours is planning in the future? Is there anything different or new or something that's people should know about?
We'd like to do a couple new tours. They're still kind of in the works. New locations. That's one thing we're working on. So it's not, even if you've been on all of the different investigations and you've been to Fear Factory or Asylum 30 times, some people want something a little bit more fresh. So that's always something we're trying to work on is getting new locations. But we're not going to go places that we can't verify, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
We want to make sure the history is accurate and the stories are accurate before we take you there.
Makes sense to me. Yeah, if you're going to go, right? Yeah. Because there are people that will just tell things and you need to be able to check it to make sure it's real. But yeah, this is great. Grim Ghost Tours, everybody. This sounds like a blast. People have to do it. Well, it's been great, Fiona. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up this episode?
I think the only thing is that like anybody can reach out to us, send us a message, an email, call us. Even if you just need like verification, like, oh, this happened at my house. Is this a ghost? We're always willing to help in any way that we can.
Yeah, that's a big one right there because it's not just like going somewhere to do a tour. You guys are out. If they reach out to you, you'll be able to help them kind of determine maybe what's going on with them.
Yeah,
That's
and
cool.
we don't
Yeah.
do we don't do house calls.
Mhm.
We have other groups that we refer back to people who want their house to come and be investigated, but we definitely analyze pictures and videos and sounds because we we share those on our investigations or our tours that have been captured at places we go to. So we're already doing that. And if people just need that extra verification or that am I going crazy or not, we're always happy to help and just be a resource and a support for people in the community.
Yeah. Well, and at worst, if it is something that they can reach out and you can still tell them who they could go to. So that's good too.
Yeah.
Whoa, here we go. Ghost Tours, everybody. Grim Ghost Tours. Fiona, thanks so much for spending some time with us today. This has been great. I've learned some stuff, and people, you got to go out and check it out. This is the time to do it, but really all year round, you can do it, right?
Yes. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And for everybody else out there, thanks for joining us on this episode today. And as we turn the lights out tonight, remember, there's a lot of strange and unexpected in our reality. So always keep your eyes, ears, and minds open. And until next time, stay safe and have a great Halloween month.
Thank you for listening to High Strangeness. This was a glance at some of the strange that exists in our reality.